Hello. So will be my part two or part B of my pillow assignment, okay, for the communication plan. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen so y'all can see it. Okay. Okay. Let me go ahead and make this a little bigger so we can see so we can all see it. Let me make it a little bigger. Okay. And then slideshow play from the beginning. Ooh, give me one moment. Something happened. Ooh. Okay, there we go. So this is like I said, this is the part two of my the part B or part two of my pillow assignment, but this is my communication plan. And this is of course by me, Michael Harrington, for EDLE 5316. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and discuss. Okay. So this is my communication plan for David Crockett Middle School in Fulton ISD. In my first PowerPoint, I went over the demographics and different things at Crockett Middle School. So I did not feel the need to place that type of information into this PowerPoint. Okay. So let's go ahead. So these are the questions that I placed into my communication plan. Okay. Okay. Like I said, these were the different topics on my communication plan that I've put in. Okay. First one, the persons slash groups to whom you need to communicate with, the types of communication, the purpose of the communication, the means of the communication, how often to communicate, and the persons responsible for each type of communication. Okay, and then down here it says these are the questions and or statements for the communication plan. I'll be going over one or two on every single slide. One or two, most of them have two that I've put into every slide. Okay, and you'll see that throughout. Okay. First things first, this is the first one, the persons that I will communicate with, and then the types of communication. Okay. The people that I will communicate with are, of course, the parents, the faculty and staff, and the community members, i.e., the people who live around it but do not have students who attend Fulton ISD or attend other schools. Okay. That attend such as private schools or public charter schools, but they do pay the taxes that we have in that area. So I do think because they pay taxes, they need to have some type of understanding of what's going on that campus. I would also include small businesses in the communication and local churches around the school. Now, Crockett Middle School, we do have a lot of churches that are around us. So it would be a good thing to talk to those guys. Maybe they can put on something for the kiddos. Maybe the church wants to know what's going on in the school. And same with the small businesses, right? Maybe they want to know what's going on in the school, so maybe they can participate. Same with the churches, okay? And then the types of communication or emails to the parents with a newsletter for the students who are at the school, social media, i.e., Facebook, Twitter, etc. Emails to staff in a newsletter, I would go as far as put it into their newsletter that they send to parents. I would also do face to face communication, especially with the businesses and the churches. There is nothing wrong with doing face to face communication. Um, I believe face to face communication is probably one of the best ways that somebody can communicate. That way, you can actually talk to them and see how they're feeling about a certain topic, right? So I do believe that having the face-to-face conversation or even phone calls would be an appropriate way to go especially with the businesses that are around us and the churches that are around us. Okay. All right, so purpose and the means of the communication. The purpose of the communication is so that people know what is going on in the school and that they have children in or the school that they pay with for their taxes. The purpose for the communication with the staff is so they know what is going on with the school that they work at. Um, the means of communications would be newsletters, posts on social media, text messages slash phone calls, and face-to-face communication. I would also include community engagement hearings so that people know what is going on. People can also be encouraged to go to the Board of Trustees meetings that are done since they are public. Now, the community engagement hearings would probably be held at least once a month so that the parents, the community members, the small business owners, and the churches and so on and so forth will be able to attend as a collective and they can see what's going on. Um, and once a month, I do believe would be good for the community engagement hearings. But if something's going to happen, as I say further in this presentation, it would need to happen a little sooner than a month, right? Especially if you're going to have a change of administration, if you're going to have excuse me, a change in funding, if the school is going to shut down and consolidate to another campus. Okay, so I really do think those community engagement hearings are really, really important. And honestly, that is something that I would actually do as a school leader, as a school principal, is have a community engagement hearings to invite the entire community to the school, right? So we can have some dialogue on what's going on around the campus, what's going on in the campus, what's going on that maybe they don't see because they don't have students that attend the school, but they still would like to know what's going on. And maybe they make the choice that their student comes to the school. Okay. All right, how often to communicate and the people or the persons that are responsible for each type of communications. Now, I do believe in having open communication. That is very, very important. I believe in an open door policy, right? Um, I believe that a principal should be in contact with staff and parents daily, especially if something happens on campus and the community, they need to know, right? Communicate with those parents, communicate with the stakeholders, communicate, okay? That way, if you communicate what's going on, they know when something happens, you're gonna tell them, right? Um, the people responsible for the communication is school administration, teacher and staff, and district leadership. And the only reason I bring up district leadership is they are in charge of the funding. They are in charge of making sure that the school is staff, not staff, that's the principal's job. But they're in charge of making sure that the school gets funded and that the school is, yeah, that it's funded correctly and certain other things, right? So that's the reason I put district leadership into it because they also have something to do with the communication on the campus, right? And then the school administration is responsible for anything that happens on campus that the community members need to know. The teachers are responsible for anything in their classrooms and all things that might go on soon in the classroom. District leadership is responsible for anything that might happen in the district, i.e., schools being closed, funding being reduced for any reason, etc. Things that are going on in the campus around the district. Around the district is district leadership. On the specific campus is the principals, the assistant principals, the instructional coordinators, job. Okay? To make sure those things are communicated with the stakeholders appropriately. Notice how I say appropriately. Okay, that is the end of my slideshow. Okay, now I do want to say I put people that are not really involved in that skull, but are still around that skull because I believe in transparency. I believe that the people that pay money to these schools need to know where their tax dollars are going, where their money is going. Why? Because I know what I paid for, and I want to know what's going on with my money. That's what I believe in. Okay? I also say businesses and churches because maybe they want to get involved down the line on something, right? Maybe they want to come to those community engagement nights, okay? Where they can hand out their business cards, hand out the business cards, talk to people about their business, right? And get that exposure, especially if they're a new business. They need that exposure so they can be successful, right? A school is a community, it's a learning community, and the students in that school and their parents need to be engaged in what's going on their campus. Okay? All right. I'm going to get off my soapbox because I feel that was a lot. Okay? But anyway, this was my part B communication plan of the Pillars assignment. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day.